Well, thank you, and thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here. I took on this role about a year and a half ago now, and as we restructured nuclear at McMaster, really to foster research and education and outreach so that we can build these types of relationships and do more. So I'm also, in full disclosure, I'm an organic chemist and a radiochemist, and there's been a lot of physics today. So I'm going to go through this fairly quick, but McMaster University is Canada's nuclear university. It's really based on two visionary leaders, Harry Thode, who was the president of our university and was involved in the Manhattan Project and really was instrumental in making sure that the reactor came to McMaster. And Bertrand Brockhaus, who won the Nobel Prize in 1994 for neutron radiography. So it's the opposite of the X-ray. At McMaster, we have world-class facilities. So if you want to do research in these facilities, these are the ones I would be the one you want to talk to. Part of it is we're anchored by the McMaster nuclear reactor. So we just had a $15 million investment in our reactor to change operations to go to 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. That allows us to be able to make isotopes that would normally be difficult to make when we shut down every night, as you would imagine they decay. We also have the Center for Advanced Nuclear Systems. This is a post-irradiation examination facility. It's probably what makes us the most unique in the world. We had the IAEA here last year, and they said they've never seen one of those on a university campus. What we're doing in there, actually, we're decanning all of Bruce Power's lutetium-177 because it can handle very radioactive materials. We also have an accelerator laboratory. The high-level labs, it's about 10,000 square feet of licensed space. We have the largest consolidated license in the country and can handle any isotopes anywhere from, microcuries up until full containment. And we also go from development all the way through to GMP clinical production. And also we have a cyclotron facility. So we like to make isotopes on either side of the chart of nuclides. And that's where the fun is, I think. So McMaster is known for iodine-125 production. It's actually what saved the reactor from being shut down in the 90s when NSERC pulled its funding, and they had a business case in order to, and a patent to develop this product. We treat about 70,000 patients per year globally with this isotope, and we have about 60% of the supply. So if you've ever used an I-125 brachytherapy source, it's probably come from McMaster, and we ship it around the world. We are also the largest supplier of this second generation radioembolic therapy using holmium-166 querium spheres. So this is a product that spun out of Delft University, and it's using a polylactic acid bead that's embedded with holmium-165. When you irradiate that in the reactor, some of that holmium-165 becomes holmium-166. Which is a nice isotope in terms of its half-life is 27 hours, has a nice imageable gamma as well as a nice beta energy. So it's now SPECT and MR active, and you can also, you're treating the patient as well with the beta. So we like this isotope. You'll notice the half-life is 27 hours. That makes it tricky. So we want to be in core in the reactor, and then we have to get it to the patient. The rule of thumb is about 1 to 2 days. We can't really do it in less than 2 days with 27 hours. And so you can see from it goes into the reactor. We then pull it from the reactor. We ship it to Europe where they will do the GMP production. And just in the last 6 months or so, we started doing the GMP production at McMaster to shorten up that timeline. And then we translate it to the patient. So this is approved in Europe, and we ship it all over Europe. It is their Terumo recently bought Querim Medical, and so they are now launching a global clinical trial. We hope to start in 2025, and we'll be supplying all of North America with that product. So radiopharmaceuticals, we talked about a little bit. We're sort of in this renaissance. Really, prior to 2010, all of diagnostic radiopharmaceuticals, or the use of isotopes, was 80% of that was diagnostic. We're really in this entire shift. There's been several changes that are reshaping that nuclear medicine, and that's really the global market. They say by 2030, it's going to be 70% will be in the radiotherapy side of the house. And really, a lot of this is driven around lutetium-177 and actinium-225, which I'll talk a little bit more about. I think when, I guess because I'm in the hospital, most of you are on the clinical side of the house. And even when I was doing my graduate work, and I would just assume the isotope would be delivered when I ordered it. And so now being on the other end, the supply chain is quite challenging. So we have to actually start with the target material Then we do the irradiation. There's processing of that material. It then goes to a drug production radiochemistry facility. It then goes to the hospital and it gets to the patient. So it's a complex supply chain. And like I said, you have about 1 half-life. For lutetium-177, you have about 6 to 7 days. It's doable and manageable in order to do that. And actinium-225 is about 10 days. So targeted radiopharmaceuticals, this is the, and talking about theranostics, it's that mixture of a diagnostic agent and a radiotherapeutic agent where the targeting vector is the same. And you're swapping out the isotope in a bifunctional chelator, which is typical. The reason why this is really advancing is because there's been significant advancements in the last 10 years in molecular biology, imaging, and models, which we talked a lot about this morning, and the growth of precision medicine and this less invasive personalized medicine approach. So matched pairs are important. So we want to swap out that isotope to be the same. When we switch it, so this is an example of comparing FDG, which is F18, versus a gallium-68 PSMA, and they're very different, and you can see the difference in the imaging here. When we then take that and we match it, so gallium-68 and lutetium-177 is not a perfect matched pair because they're different isotopes. So, and they're different atoms. So it's close, and it does the job for now, but there's lots of development to come on those pure matched pairs is what we really want. So Pluvicto and Novartis has really changed the industry. They launched this clinical trial in PSMA 617. It won Image of the Year in 2017 based on this in the Society of Nuclear Medicine. It is now in the US going to be first-line treatment for prostate cancer, which will change the needs of radioisotopes. And really that changes the scale of how many isotopes that you're really going to need. I'm going to move on and look at beta versus alpha. So why do we want to look at alpha therapy and focus on that going forward? And really that's because it travels a shorter distance and it has that double-stranded DNA break. So it really is like a bowling ball going through your cells. The use of targeted alpha therapy, this is not targeted, but really it was led through Xofigo and the use of radium-223 in order to treat prostate cancer, metastatic prostate cancer patients. And it really paved the way in terms of allowing alphas. Everyone is afraid of alphas in the nuclear industry because they're dangerous. And but this isotope really allowed it to come into the hospitals. It really opened the door and allowed us to look broader to do targeted alpha therapy. So when we look at targeted alpha therapy, I guess about 10 years ago, I was the director of discovery for the Center for Probe Development Commercialization. And I had a meeting with John Valiant and he'd said, okay, pick an isotope. What do you want to do? We're going to do targeted alpha therapy. And so actinium-225 is, if you look at them all, is the obvious choice. I'll talk about some going forward, but it is really pioneering the way in this targeted approach. So we like actinium-225 for its half-life, and it delivers 4 alphas in its decay chain. So it is very effective, and we like the radiochemistry. So it's a 3+ actinide metal. It's nice for us to coordinate. We can kind of use some of the targeting agents that we developed for lutetium and for gallium. There are significant supply chain issues going forward. All of the radium, which is the precursor often, is probably more value than the uranium in the mining. They think it's billions of dollars that's sitting in the mining tailings. So lots of folks are going after that. It's so valuable that the radium that Marie Curie used in the 1930s, all those needles that we threw away and stored, they've dug them out, and Oak Ridge National Labs has mulched them up and pulled out that radium. It's incredibly valuable for lots of isotopes going forward. So we're hunting for that and lots of good chemistry to develop. So actinium-225 really is Canada's biggest success story in terms of radiopharmaceuticals. This is really based on this Fusion Pharmaceuticals. They developed a process called Fusion's Fast Clear, which I was happy to be part of that development and the patent of that process. And it really, what it did is when we added this linker and it changed the way the targeting agent was cleared. So antibodies can circulate too long. You don't want them that long when you have an alpha emitter on there. So it really was transformative for the project. They spun out Fusion Pharmaceuticals, and in the last year, it was purchased by AstraZeneca for $2.4 billion and just exists up the street from McMaster at our innovation park. We also, at our innovation park, are home to Laurentis Energy Partners, which is also involved in making of isotopes, and Atom V Radiopharma. So we have the most nuclear-enabled innovation park and allow for this translational commercialization process to happen smoothly. So I like to, as the discovery side of me, I like to imagine what's next, away from lutetium and away from actinium-225. So I wanted to share some of the isotopes that I think are coming. So lead-212, there's a number of early clinical trials underway. I like the radiochemistry. Again, you'll see it involves radium. Everything involves radium in the beginning. So, but you can have it through a generator, which makes it more available for the general community to be able to use. And so having a generator is ideal if we can do that. This is another one. It's astatine-211. So it's an interesting isotope, astatine, because it sits in the halogen row. So, but it doesn't quite behave like a halogen. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it likes to behave like a metal. So astatine-211 is a nice isotope to be able to incorporate into different types of molecules. And so I think astatine-211 will also be emerging going forward. So when we're thinking about radiopharmaceuticals, I think there's significant design criteria considerations. So it's really important that it's stable. It's important that the half-life matches the biological target. So for PSMA-617, it's a small molecule, so you really want a shorter lived half-life. You don't need the long one. For an antibody, you need to have time in order for it to get there. So from an imaging for antibodies, you want to use something like zirconium. You want to use something that's a PET emitter that has a longer half-life. And so you really want to match those in the right way. I talked about the impact of the chelator linker. It's really what was the foundation of the success for fusion, was to have this fast, clear technology. Isotope availability and cost, if you want to scale, you'll see lots of, Eli Lilly just bought Point last year. There's lots of investment going into radiopharmaceuticals and theranostics, and big pharma is paying attention. And so that means that as we back up that chain, we need to have those isotopes available, because as soon as patients start getting misdosed or it's unavailable, they'll move away from that. And everything needs to be made in a radiosynthesis way. It needs to be automated. So in order to have things automated, it allows us to go through a Health Canada approval process, or really any health regulatory body, in a meaningful way. So I'm going to shift away to something that we're doing at McMaster that is, we're collaborating with King's College London as they're installing their total body PET. And it's really, I think total body PET is an interesting way to go forward. I don't think we have any in Canada. I don't know if there's any planned, but it's going to be transformative, I think, in a lot of understanding of early detection of disease, enhancing different research capabilities. But one of the significant challenges, and what led to the collaboration, is the production of radioisotopes that would be suitable for total body PET. And so we have launched, gone down a path of making technetium-94M. So 94M, I don't know, it's an old isotope. All the old isotopes are coming back. So it's an old one. And so one of the things, why we like it for total body PET, is that it has a nice half-life. It's only 52 minutes. You can leverage all of the Tech-99M agents that are already approved, and just you're swapping out the isotope. And the production route is fairly straightforward. The challenges is the production, where you're making it and having it on site. And currently it was being made with a solid target, and you really ideally want to have a liquid target. And that makes sense in the sense a solid target, you have to dissolve and transfer. A liquid target's nice. It's flow chemistry. So it makes everything easier to get it to the patient and approved. So we have developed a new process to make Tech-94M from polymolybdic acid in solution, and then we're working on scaling that up and transferring it. So medical isotope innovations are critical to the success of theranostics going forward. Canada punches well above its weight in terms of the production of medical isotopes. We have more isotope production than we could even possibly use. And the innovations in theranostics is driving that, as I've mentioned. So the big shifts in the last 5 years is that our CANDU power plants are now producing medical isotopes. So CANDU is a Canadian technology. In Ontario at Bruce Power, we have the largest nuclear site in the world. And they use, where they normally would have sort of some checkpoints, they're able to actually insert an isotope delivery system and do irradiation. So they're now irradiating multiple multiple hundreds of curies of lutetium-177, where it will then go for processing. So it actually comes to McMaster first. We use that post-radiation examination facility in order to decan it. So when we're shipping medical isotopes, they're all on passenger planes. So when you're flying around, you can almost guarantee there's some isotope in the belly of your plane that's being transferred around the world. And so what we do is we decan in order to take the aluminum away, which is what we have to use in order to irradiate the ytterbium target, and we repackage it and take that quartz ample and send it off to Germany where it's processed. Ontario Power Generation has installed a similar system, and so they have announced they're going to be making Moly-99. So as many of you may know, Canada was the largest producer of Moly-99 and the production of Tech-99M for decades until the isotope crisis in 2009 and 2011, where the NRU had an unplanned outage and it attracted significant negative attention, I would say, to Canada for a while. So in this renaissance, the focus back on nuclear from the federal government and our provincial governments is significant, and significant investment back into our facilities. It's unfortunate that we have a gap of 10 years where we have lost some knowledge, I would say, to people moving on to other places. So one of the other radioembolic therapies is Y90 TheraSphere. It's also a Canadian technology. So OPG announced that they're going to be producing that as well. And then the emerging ones are super interesting to me. It's like, what's next? And so we want to use every way we can make isotopes, and expanding the photonuclear production is very different. So that's coming. All of our small modular reactors. So you'll hear about those as we try to provide energy security around the world and decarbonize our northern community, as well as we're going to be using small modular reactors. Every neutron that we have is important. As Canada's only neutron source for research, we want more neutrons. We cannot possibly fill the need. So these small modular reactors are now using, not just producing energy, but they're also going to be using their neutrons for science. So ARC has talked about, they have fast neutrons, so they can produce slightly different isotopes that we can at McMaster. So they're not quite there yet, but getting there. And the one that's we're collaborating with as well is Astral Systems, and they're using fusion production of medical isotopes. And they are looking at it's a multi-state fusion reactor where you can have on-demand medical isotopes, and lots of I-131 is one of them, actinium-225. And again, they have a different energy of neutron that we can't get in a research reactor or a CANDU power plant, because they're all thermal neutrons. So the other side of my job is the education and outreach component. It's something that I'm super passionate about, and making sure that we're training the next generation and opening up our facilities. We have the most accessible nuclear facilities in the country, where we provide tours. We do about 4,500 tours of the reactor a year. 65% of them are high school students that are coming in. And this is a workshop pertinent to today that we ran. We did have a couple of students come from Sharon's group, and it's the next generation nuclear medicine. We did it in collaboration with King's College, and we provided hands-on experiences where they actually were making medical isotopes. We gave them a tour of the reactor. They did neutron radiography. They went through the cyclotron. They actually built targets. And, you know, as a good radiochemist, you know you're going to have a spill. We spilled some activity and we made them clean it up. We have them do that really hands-on approach to help them understand and translate what is coming for the future, and that we need everybody to be involved in to meet the needs of the growing workforce. So I'll end with this: is what is the future of nuclear medicine? Is personalized medicine a reality? This is something, and you'll see this reference is from 2019, because in radiochemistry and radiopharmaceuticals, we've been thinking about this for a while. Can you select the isotope that's the most relevant or the most important? Is it available? Are you going to use OJ? Are you going to use beta? Are you going to use alpha? What is best suited for the patient? And how can we bring all those pieces together to have this truly personalized medicine approach? And with that, thank you.